Good morning. Good morning, my brothers and sisters. So check this out. The Lord is going to meet you wherever you are at. Don't think that you need to be in a perfect place in your life. Don't think you need to stop doing something before you could actually talk to God or go to his place of worship, go to a church, hang out with certain people because you feel condemned inside or you feel bad about something that you've done. All that is, put that behind you. God has forgiven you 2,000 years ago from anything that you're going to do. But it's our job to believe that and continue to live life better, make changes. You know, when God talks about our sin and what we should do with sin, and when we think we're going to sin, he says, flee from the devil, run away. Don't stand there where you know you're going to be tempted. Don't stay in that place where you know you might fall. That's not where you need to be. God doesn't want you to stand in the midst of temptation. When you see temptation coming, you gone. You go the other way. You don't stay there. God will meet you where you're at. I want to share a story with you guys. Actually, two stories. This is recent. 2 days ago, I saw a hawk. We live right on this marsh here, so we have water. There's a bunch of hawk nests. There's owls. There's so many animals here, man. It's so beautiful, man. We are so blessed. And I saw this hawk flying with a fish. And I said to God, I said, in my heart, I don't even think I said this out loud, but in my heart, you know, you talk to God with your mouth, you talk to God with your movements. Everything you do, whether you like it or not, is a example of you praising God. Movement is not free. Communication is not free. Good health, breathing and exhaling, not free. Not free. That's all from God. Every good and perfect gift comes from the Father of lights. That's it. So I saw this hawk flying with this fish, and I said in my heart, I said, God, how do they catch those fish? Like, if you've ever stood on the edge of water and seen the little fish, and you just went like that to go touch one of them, those fish are gone. They're so fast. But a hawk, I'm wondering how they do this. So my girlfriend, she leaves at about 6:30, 7 o'clock. Sunrise has been around 6:50. And I walk outside right after she left. I said goodbye. She backed out of the driveway. I looked over at the marsh here, and I saw this bald eagle. You don't see bald eagles that often, but we have them around here. And I haven't seen one with my own eyes. I've never seen one before. So I see this bald eagle fly over the water. And he looked like he was going to land, like when you see a bunch of geese come down and land in the water. I thought he was going to land in the water, and I said, that's kind of weird. I've never seen an eagle just go and sit in a body of water before. And I'm going to tell you, this is how fast he was coming down, real slow. My hand is the water, and it was just like this. Boop. The minute he touched the water, his feet tapped the water, he came up with a fish. I couldn't believe it. I said, that was so graceful, so graceful. But the first thought that came in my mind said, God, you are awesome. He didn't have to show me that. I didn't have to see that. But when you have a relationship with God, you start to notice how he works with you and how he talks to you. You know, I noticed that God would talk to me through nature, and God would talk to me through people. People would say things, and it would be a word from God. They wouldn't even know what they're saying to me, but it was a word from God because I'm in tune with my relationship with him. I remember what I say to him. I remember what we talk about. So when I hear something that speaks to my spirit, I know right away. I'm connected. I'm like, that was a word from the Lord. Or I see something like the eagle come into the water, and I go, Lord, you're awesome. It just shows you how much he loves you. That little thought meant so much to him that he showed me that. You know, like, that's how God, it says in the Bible, if you picked up a handful of sand, all those little granules that'll be in your hand, those are the awesome thoughts. Those are the loving thoughts that God has. You can't count those. You can't even take a piece of grain of sand and be like, okay, that's one. Maybe you can, but if you've seen that, it's crazy. That's how many thoughts God has for you. good thoughts, good things for you. God will meet you where you're at. You don't have to be a perfect person. You do not have to be doing something in order for God to meet you. God will meet you by your faith. Your faith is what brings you and him together. Because it says, blessed are those who believe and cannot see. And he was talking about us who can't see him right now. You can't physically go see God right now. For the most part, you can't. People have, look it up, people have seen God, have seen Christ, have had near-death experiences and seen Jesus. But it's not, for the most part, it's blind faith. I call it blind faith. I believe without seeing. I don't need God to show up here in his white garment and his perfection and his glory for me to believe that his glory exists. He doesn't need to do that for me. I believe without seeing. It's very powerful. You can take that principle and put it into life. You have dreams, you have goals, you have passions, you have things that you want to do. Guess what? It's not going to happen without you believing. And of course, faith without actions is dead. You need to take the right actions to get towards your goals. You need to make those right steps. It's usually a lot of little steps that result in a big goal. So you want to have those, you want to take those little steps. But faith is all believing without seeing. It's crazy, a hawk just went by. Listen, God will meet you where you're at. So if you're listening to this message today, take the time, get somewhere quiet. Quiet yourself, man, because we got a lot of thoughts in our head that go around and things that we want to do, and sometimes it gets really loud in our heads that we're like, man, I don't got time to meditate. I don't have time to sit down and do that. Make the time. Wake up earlier so you have the time. Go to bed later so you have the time. But I prefer doing it first thing in the morning. I wake up, I read his word, then I go sit down for 10 to 20 minutes, quiet, eyes shut, in a meditative state, and I sit there and I ask God to talk to me. And then I get on here, if I shoot a video, and I relay that message that he put in my heart. It's simple. You know, I put him first, everything else flows after it. I can't go about my day, and trust me, I've done this. I'm not saying you can't do this. I've done this. I did it the other day where I'm like, wow, I didn't read the word. I didn't get time with the Lord, and now it's 10:30 at night, and now I'm talking to him. So I went throughout my whole day. It's like being blind. It's like not putting on the cheat codes. You know, like the cheat codes make the game so much easier. Well, listen, when you put God first and you take that time in the morning to meditate on his word and to get understanding of his word, and then apply that to your life is so much more fulfilling. It goes smoother. It's like when you're riding a bike on a bumpy road, and then when you get to that smooth asphalt, it's like just cruising down the hill. Man, your whole life is like cruising down the hill. You don't have these crazy questions, these weird thoughts. You know where everything comes from. You got 3 voices in your head. You got the Lord's voice, who is quiet and clear and soft and loving and wants the best for you. You know when he's talking to you. Then you have your voice in your head. Your mind just wants to make you more comfortable. You know, if you feel like you need to be working out, your mind will tell you, nah, do that later, do that tomorrow. You don't need to do that today. Your mind just wants you to be comfortable. And then you have the enemy. You have the devil's voice in your head who will give suggestions to distract you and take you away from God's purpose in your life. Things that you'd be like, where did that thought come from? Ugly thoughts, anger, greed, jealousy, depression. All these are spirits that come to you, and they come to you like a storm. You need to be able to weather the storm and know that after every storm, the sun comes out. The sun always shines. There's not a day that has gone by in our history that we've never had the sun come up. God is always there. He's not going nowhere. He's not going nowhere. You need to stay locked in with him. You want to stay locked in. Do not let the devil's suggestions plant a seed into your mind, and then over time you start believing that deception. And all it does is delay your process to your purpose. God has a purpose for your life. God has amazing plans for your life. But you won't get there if you keep listening to these negative suggestions and you keep going with your mind and try to stay more comfortable in life and be complacent and just be okay with where you're at. God wants us to constantly climb and excel. There's no end to his greatness. We are created in his image. We are created in the image of God. Let that sit in for a second. Guys, I thank you for watching. I hope God has talked to you through this. Actually, I don't need to hope that. I know he's talking to somebody through this. I know someone is getting this message. I'm getting fed as I'm sitting here talking to you. I love you guys. Peace. You heard it first and you heard it right. Make sure you keep listening to the Lord's voice and not the enemy's suggestions. Peace, guys. Love you.